Well, hey kids, I'm back with another math quiz for all of you out there trying to avoid the COVID-19 virus. And first, let me just say thank you for those of you who participated in the first quiz I put up. This quiz is going to be much like that one. So if you want feedback on your solutions, you can email them to me. And by now, all of you know my email address. Now, this quiz is going to have 5 problems in it and 1 bonus question. So if you're ready, are you ready? Here we go. Okay, kids, here's question number 1. So the tires on my truck have a 4-foot diameter or a 2-foot radius. And here's the question about my truck. If I travel a distance of 1 mile in my truck, how many revolutions will there be per tire? In other words, if I travel a distance of 1 mile, how many times will the tires rotate? All right, kids, here's question number 2. And this involves 2 cylinders. One cylinder is larger than the other. So the first cylinder, the larger one, has a height of 4 feet. The diameter of its base is 4 feet. The smaller cylinder also has a height of 4 feet, but the diameter of its base is just 2 feet. Now, I'm going to put the small cylinder inside of the larger cylinder. And then I'm going to fill the space between the 2 cylinders with water. Assuming that water it accumulates at the rate of 7.5 gallons per cubic foot rather, how many gallons of water will it take to fill that space between the 2 cylinders? All right, kids, this next question is about a feed ration for my cows. So one of the key nutritional needs of cows with baby calves on them is protein. So for the sake of this problem, let's assume that each of my cows needs 3 pounds of protein per day. Now, you don't buy protein in the form of protein. Rather, what you do is you buy feed that contains protein. So for example, corn contains protein, hay contains protein, and so on. So I feed my cattle 3 things in order to get to 3 pounds of protein. So I feed them hay, I feed them a commercial cube, and I feed them soybean meal. Okay, now here are more specific data for each of those inputs. First of all, they get 20 pounds of hay per head per day. The hay has protein content of 6%. They get 6 pounds of cubes per day. The cubes have protein content of 20%. Now, what I'm asking you to solve for is how many pounds of soybean meal I need to feed to get the cows up to the threshold of 3 pounds of total protein per day. So soybean meal has 48% protein. So how many pounds of soybean meal must I feed the cows in addition to the hay and in addition to the cubes so that each cow gets 3 pounds of protein per day? All right, guys, so in the previous question, you figured out how much hay, how much of the commercial cube, and how much soybean meal I would have to feed my cows each day to get their protein content up to 3 pounds per head per day. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is tell me how much that's going to cost me each day. So here's the information that you're going to need. The hay costs me $60 per ton. The cubes cost me $8 per 50-pound bag. And the soybean meal costs me $18 per hundredweight. All right, kids, so this is a question that involves probabilities. And so here's the setup. So I'm trying to figure out how many dollars per head I can expect to receive from my calves next spring. So I will plan to sell cattle in February of 2021. And when I sell those calves, here is my current market expectation. So I think there's a 30% probability that I will get $1.50 per pound. I think there's a 50% probability that I will get $1.80 per pound. And I think there's a 20% probability that I will get only $1.10 per pound. Now, if my calves are expected to weigh 650 pounds when I sell them, how many dollars per head should I expect to receive? Okay, so here's the bonus question. In last week's quiz, there was a question about taking 120 feet of wire and maximizing the amount of area you could contain with that wire in a rectangular form. Now, this week's bonus question goes back to that 120 feet of wire. So you correctly determined that the maximum area would be contained by a 30 by 30 foot square. But here's this week's bonus question. If you formed that wire into a circle, how much more area would be contained by the circle relative to the square?